Yeah, see, even that, just the title goes, oh. And this is, I guess, when procrastination comes into play.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a level of that. Are fears keeping you stagnant? What are you fearful of? Why are they so important? These people who are this, is this old stories? Even just the word fears, old beliefs, what people think of you. Are you going to upset people? It's all around the people.
It's all around the people, but it's also about questioning. Like, where is it coming from? Is it really based in something that's real now?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, dear Deb.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, here we are with another deliciously motivating mindset conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
And of course, it's a goodie.
Of course, it's a goodie.
If we're showing up like this, they're always a goodie, right? But before we get into what we want to talk to you and share today, or go down rabbit holes like we tend to do, we're going to do our rating ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. We do this to Deb always doesn't like it when she has to rate herself first.
I forget.
So this is a tool to check in. How are you feeling? How are you feeling emotionally? What's going on in your mind? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling pieced out? So on this scale of 0 to 10, 10's where you're feeling chaotic and stuck and overwhelmed, and 0 is when you're totally neutral, pieced out, all is well. And so where would you put you?
I'm going to say a 1.
Okay.
But the subject of today, I'm going to say the subject about today is a 2.
Okay.
Because I think there's a little bit of
Yeah.
But I don't know what the is. Is it a fear? Is it a what? But I'm going to say a 2 on the subject, but definitely a 1 emotionally and physically, spiritually.
Okay. So I'm going to say 0 for me, but on the subject, like you, I'm going to put a 2 because this is a big one, and I think that if people are experiencing things like this, my intention would be for us to help break it apart and shift. Anything that's stagnant, I think, needs to have a wee bit of shaking things
glitter
up. Yeah, glitter.
Yeah,
shaking things up with glitter.
It's your snow globe. If the stagnant is it's when it falls.
Yeah,
it
pick
feels
it up and shake
heavy.
it around. Yeah.
It feels heavy. It feels okay. Where are we going? What are we doing? Yeah.
Where are we going? What we're doing with this one? So we're talking today about our fears keeping you stagnant or stuck or in a
immobilized.
Yeah. That.
Yeah. A fear's keeping you at a 10.
Yeah.
On the scale of 0 to 10.
Yeah.
I think, see, even that, just the title goes, And this is, I guess, when procrastination comes into play.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a level of that. Are fears keeping you stagnant? What are you fearful of? Why are they so important? These people who are this, is this old stories? Even just the word fears, old beliefs, what people think of you? Are you going to upset people? It's all around the people.
It's all around the people, but it's also about questioning. Like, where is it coming from? Is it really based in something that's real now? Or is it something that you
have held on to?
You've held on to it, or you've inherited it, or you've been told, oh, this is how it always goes. And so then you just take it in and say, yeah, there's no point in trying this because so-and-so told me it was going to fall apart, or it always happens this way, right?
Yeah, I read a social media post this morning, and my word forgiveness, I don't really like the word forgiveness, to forgive somebody. I'm more be grateful of the experience that's happened. But the reading, the word said, forgive your parents for what they did because they were learning too.
That's a valid point.
And I actually had never thought about that. And I thought, yeah, you know what? You as a parent struggle with certain things and you're like, well, I'm never going to be like my parent. But you forget that they're still learning their own lessons as well, or their own experiences. And I just thought, yeah, that's really significant. And then it's the same for Nana and Granddad and, all those, and my auntie and uncle, all those family members, or mum's best friend is your other mum, and these are the things. And so we do have stories. I'm never going to be like my mum. I'm never going to be like my father. I'm never going to be like my sibling, or
right. But you've said this before. As soon as you say that,
no. Damn.
Guess what you just did.
Yep. Exactly.
You're going to create that. Never say never.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, is actually knowing that all the people before you are all trying to do their best as well.
Trying to do their best
level.
At their level, based upon what they know and their own wisdom and what their experiences and their own emotional baggage that they've worked through. Yeah.
Well, we do talk about how our generations have changed, and there's I've talked to people who are parents of my age or older, grandparents, and they've like, well, I think I had postnatal depression when my child was born. Okay. I'm like, you probably did.
Yeah.
Because there will be moments when you didn't want to have that child, not moments of actually, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. There definitely will be moments. And the moment you can recognize that, but whether you label it or not, I think that's the thing, is nowadays we are talking more mental health awareness.
Truly. And it wasn't there for a long time ago, right?
Absolutely. Because if you had, if we were to label it postnatal depression, they locked you in a room with your baby for 48 hours, right. and this is your bonding. You had to bond with that child.
Yeah.
You
need a wee bit more support than that.
I know. It's the last thing you want to be doing is locked in the room for 48 hours with a child you don't want, if you're thinking like that, and it's just going to escalate more. So bringing on that ancestral crap, to put it that way,
that's a good
and
way
bringing
of
it through, bringing it through. Just be aware that they're all trying to do their stuff. We are so more. I'm going to say we're more aware of stuff, but we're not aware of some stuff. But we've definitely evolved in the thinking on the mental health, and we do label things. We are quick to label things. And I think once you put a label on it, you can go, oh, that explains it. And you can go, and to some degree, when we rate ourselves.
Soothe yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Just rate yourself and you go, oh my God, I'm so frustrated right now. What's going on? Okay, well, I was late to get up. Because of that, I got into the traffic. The traffic was really chaotic. I couldn't find my shoes. I got to work and realized I had 2 different shoes on. Although I work from home and I've got bare feet, but this, and your day just escalates. And these are the things that you go, and no wonder by the time I get to work, I'm a 10. And someone says to me, have you got that paperwork? You're like, hang on, I just need to undo my seatbelt.
Right.
To get out of the car. And these are the things that build up, and we hold on to these stories.
And that's why I was saying, well, that run fears, what's that? The description, false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right. So that's what you're saying, is that is it a story, or is that really something that's happening right in this moment? And sometimes the you might get a little bit of a fear or something that makes you anxious. But then if you allow your mind to start telling that story, it's then magnifying it.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that would keep you stuck, or we're saying stagnant here, right?
Yeah. You're letting the moss grow on your feet and the grass grow around you. And that's exactly it. And your fear comes from something or someone, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's just, but the moment you can recognize it and be aware of it, there's definitely helping to your evolution.
Right. And do you know the other thing that I was just thinking as you were saying that is that it's so important to always remember that you're the boss of you. We've talked about this in these episodes.
I actually sent
before,
a message to someone last night who was in a little bit of a pickle, and I said, hand on your heart, breathe.
Yep.
You live there. All your decisions are made through your heart, not through your head. Your heart, your heart won't lie to you. I was just thinking that, and that's exactly it, because it was that whole fear's keeping you stagnant, and they did say, I have a feeling I'm going to have to stay here, and I'm going to have to stay here forever. It's hand on your heart, breathe. It was so heavy. Yeah. And that was literally a fear. I don't want to be like my parents.
Right. So, sometimes we have to speak those out in order to then be able to see it outside of ourselves, as opposed to when we don't speak them out, and they're the ones that are kind of making the choices or driving the energy or the flow, the direction that you're choosing. Whereas if you speak it out loud, you can go, oh, hey, hang on a minute, I don't want to create more of that energy. Or, like you're saying, I don't want to be like my parents. Well, whether you do or not, you can always evolve, but don't resist something.
Yeah, I think own what your parents did, acknowledge it, see it,
with appreciation,
see the value.
With some appreciation, right?
See the value, see that beautiful, but this post this morning was definitely like, wow, yeah, you're right. They are doing what they could do at that time.
But that then brings back that whole idea that forgiveness is really about the person forgiving, not the person being forgiven. It's for your benefit, right?
Yeah. And well, I mean, my challenge of that word forgiveness is just...
Yeah, tell us about that.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I think we actually said in one podcast, if people want to unpack it, then they have to ask.
That's right. Okay. Then I'm not allowed to ask.
So if you want to know my problem with forgiveness, unpack it, then you need to put it in, it's wise to put it in the comments, and we will go there. But until then, zip, nope. But my thing is, if we can replace that word with gratitude, if we can actually find gratitude in our parents, the way they brought us up, and in the way we reacted, and gratitude for all of that, we're going to have a different shift. Moira's looking at me like, come on, let's unpack this.
I'm in agreement with you here, because it's always about finding the gift.
Yeah.
Because even in the most dire situation, there is a gift. Sometimes you have to be patient and allow things to evolve in order to go, oh, there's what I learned, or there's the gift, or there's the light at the end of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I talked about that with a gentleman yesterday, who was just, I said, how would you feel if you saw your ex-partner? And he said, oh, I'd just turn away and walk on. And he said, unless I was driving. I said,
no.
And then I went, and what would you do if you were driving? And I said, in fact, don't tell me. You would actually turn the indicator and you'd go the other way. And he laughed and laughed, never said what he was going to do, because I just didn't want to put that out in the universe.
No.
But that was one of the things. So I said, okay, stop everything right now. What value did you get in that relationship? Nothing. And so we just started unpacking, and he just actually said, because of this partner, it actually put him on a self-discovery of who he is and who he wants around him. And he said right now, from 2 years ago, he has real, authentic, genuine people who value him 100% over who he had around when he was with his partner.
What a beautiful gift.
Yeah, I've got that little goosey thing going on now. And he just went, okay, I can see what you're doing here. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I just asked one question. And that was just that whole shift in a perspective. And that's just how quick the gratitude happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, do you want to carry on and other things? And he went, no, can we change the subject? I'm like, okay, let's find some more then.
But I love that, because that kind of confirms what I know we've talked about this before, that we are always in control.
Mm.
And so by that means that we're always putting ourselves in situations where the ultimate is a good outcome.
Well, he knew he had to find himself in the relationship, but didn't know how. And it was in his mind.
Right.
But it was only until he broke up that he went, okay, I can't do this. I have to look at me and see what I did to cause this or didn't cause this or whatever. Is this me or is it them? And then went, wow, I played. And he said he played such a significant role in turning the relationship to break up.
Right.
You know, when he recognized that. So he just acknowledged it. But it was just a beautiful way of finding that self-discovery, you know, finding that. And so he, you know, he will have said he was stagnant in the relationship.
Of course.
You know.
But that's that thing of staying, and we all go through cycles of that. But the thing is to sometimes what we need to do is get to a place of saying, I know that I'm going to stay stagnant or stuck or immobilized for as long as I need to until I can step out of it. Yeah. And that could be
well, that's a transition stage. If you acknowledge it as a transition stage, I may have stayed in this relationship 3 years too long, and you're thinking, but look, while that time was happening, that's your transition stage. And if you can label it that, it doesn't feel as
shaming.
Icky.
Shame, right? And so that's a good way of saying it, because maybe that's that stage is you gathering confidence and gathering awareness. And you know, it's something that I've often said to various clients over the years, is that in order to really, really get clear on what you want, sometimes you have to visit all the things that you don't. To then get the clarity saying, well, I don't like that. Like in this story you're sharing with this guy, he got really clear on the type of people and the type of partner that doesn't work with my energy. So now he's really clear on what does. And that in itself is the gift and the growth.
But even just that's massive, because a lot of people are still trying to find that. You know, he's younger than me and he's found, this is my expectation. I'm not going to settle for anything. And he's very firm on that.
That's awesome. So he's very clear on what is a deal breaker, and that's
yeah. And that's just not in an intimate relationship, but even, you know, the employees he employs, he's very firm on what type of people he wants in his business, you know, and a lot of people, well, I'm not going to say a lot of people, but there's people who still waver on that, and they go, oh, I'll just do this, or I'll just take this person. And that's that desperation. Oh, it can't be that bad. And then you get burnt, because that's what you do. You hire on desperation and you get burnt.
But maybe this is because of a fear playing in.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And this is it. Well, you know, when it comes to separation, they're like, I don't want to be like my parents. My parents separated at a young age, or my dad did this, or my mum did this, you know, all through our relationship. And these are the stories, the beliefs, the stories you've heard, but also the stories
or the
you've
false
seen.
Evidence appearing real.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. False evidence appearing real. Yeah. And they do. Are fears keeping you stagnant? Absolutely, they will.
Yep.
Yeah. Until
they're there to be challenged and broken apart and flowed through,
dissected,
and appreciated. Like you said, you were saying, the appreciation. Where's the gift?
It's wise to acknowledge it first. Once you acknowledge it, as soon as you acknowledge it, things shift.
Less power. It has less power over you. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, that actually is the pivot out of that stagnation.
I think every podcast we talk about acknowledgement. I would say.
I think we do acknowledgement, appreciation, awareness. Oh, it's all the A's.
Oh, there's your AA meeting. Yeah, 3A is your 3A's meeting. Yeah,
that's it.
But it is absolutely acknowledgement. Yeah. We do. I'm like, hang on, we talk about this every time.
But that's what I've said before about letting things go. Like if you want to let go of a habit or a pattern or a belief, first of all, got to acknowledge it's there and you accept
see
it
it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you can do that. But until that part, the truth
Well, the
telling.
moment, and if people say to you, you do this, you do this, you do this. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
yeah.
No, I don't. No, I don't. You're going to hear it from this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle,
Until you
can
go, oh,
I do that. Oh no, I do that. Yeah. And then once you acknowledge it, you can see it, you open your eyes, and then you can deal with it. But until you can acknowledge it, yeah. So stagnant is such a ick place to be.
Yeah.
But in my mind, but if you think of it as stagnant, but actually look at it as this is your transition stage, this is your holding pattern, this is your, before you get to the next thing, you move out from your partner, you want to buy a house. Okay, but I need to move out now. I don't know if I've got the money already. Then move out of the house and rent a place.
Yeah.
And so if you think of it like that is your renting space.
This is the growing your own awareness.
Yeah, this is the
step feeling into that. You may not know what it is you really want. You just know that right here isn't it.
Mm-hmm. And if you have to move from that, then you go on. Yeah, it's the renting place. It's the holding pattern. It's the mind blowing, getting clear on what you want, your expectations.
Absolutely. No, and that's the perfect piece of advice to say, shift so that you can shift your perspective and discover what is it? What do you want?
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
Well, you'll always stay stagnant if you don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
And if your fear is the same fear that came up a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 5 years ago, it's really time to deal with it.
To acknowledge that it's been chasing and growing and
getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as people on this podcast know, well, I'd like to think they know, both Moira and I do have a practice of assisting people with challenged mindsets.
Yes.
Would that be the nicest way of saying it?
That's a good way of saying it. Yes. And letting go of things that are keeping them stagnant.
Yeah. And fears and removing the blockages. So, if people do get stuck, there's Moira or Debz who can clearly help them. And getting somebody to help is a fascinating process for your mind. I was talking about this with a woman the other day, and she says, do you have many men who come to you? And I'm like, what do you mean? Not realizing
People
what she
ask
was
me
meaning.
That sometimes too.
Yeah, and she's like, do men come for help? And I'm like, well, okay, they don't come for help, but they come for guidance or alertness. But if we can label it help, you want to label it help. But yeah, I have the same amount of men and women as my clients. My workshops are 99% equal amount of males, females, clients one-on-one. It's quite interesting. And yes, men want to evolve just as much as women, but the people who don't want to evolve are those ones who want to stay stagnant and just find it's easier to sit in that situation than not.
They're not going to speak to you or I, though.
No, because they see more value in, and I'm going to say victim mode. It's quite a harsh one, but they see more value in sitting in victim mode because it could be too hard or
attach this story of, like you say, it's too hard or can never get out, or people of my generation never do this, or fill in the blank.
I had a new client recently, and she said to me after our first session, she said, "You're not as hard as what I thought you were." I was like, "What?" It's like, "What?" And she goes, "Well, I just thought you were going to be really mean and hard to me." And I'm like, no, you came to like, and she goes, yeah, but you're known as a stiletto kicker. I'm like, yeah, definitely there's a stiletto kick in there, I can assure you, but it's just whatever you need at this time.
You don't lead with that.
No, I don't go straight and go, right, lie down, let me put this across your chest. Right, where are we at? But she was really surprised. She said that was a lot easier than I thought. And I just giggled and I thought, wow. And she says, I've been wanting to work with you for 4 years.
She was scared.
And this is exactly a fear that's kept her stagnant.
Keeping her stagnant. Yep.
She's gone out and she's worked with other coaches, other people, and she's like, I know where I want to go. But and I said all those other people will have absolutely helped you at that time, and now you're just ready for that next level. But she was really stuck on the perception of who I was, and I was going to be really.
It's really funny how people do that. It's really funny how people do that, because I get that. People will, talk to me and then, oh, I know what you're going to do. You're going to tell me to stop this and to start doing this. And
I love that one. Or you're going to tell me off for that. And I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, is that that's that's quite it's funny. Yeah, people are like, oh, I know you're going to tell me I do this, it's really bad for me. I'm like, yeah, well, you know it.
Yeah, so why do I need to tell you?
Why? You're really easy. You already know what's good and bad in your world. I'm here just to enhance it.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't it? And this is exactly it. And I think that is definitely a fear that people have, is being told off, negated, shamed.
Yes.
Shamed
so
because
they're wrong, they're broken, they're not good enough.
Your own guilt is already going to chew your way through to you.
You don't need that.
I'm not going to be telling you what's right or wrong. And I think that's one of the things, with the addiction process that I do. The very first thing is I don't tell you it's a bad thing. We go,
nor do I.
The very first step of our addiction process is what is the benefits you're getting out of it. And people go, what do you mean? I'm like, let's list 200 benefits of you doing this addiction, or whatever it is you label as being so bad. And they're like, right. Well, this is not the standard. I'm like, I'm not the standard. Yes. I struggle to be the standard sometimes. But once you look at that, then they go, oh, this makes so much sense why I do it. Look at the incredible value I get out of it.
Right.
I'm like, great, now let's rip those benefits apart.
And so similar to you, my step in that is acceptance. Is just to just tell the truth. This is what I do. With no labels of right or wrong. It just is. Yeah. And then let's unpack it. What are you willing to do? What's your choice?
Well, your shame and guilt is way bigger than someone else telling you off.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yep. Like someone telling you off and you can feel bad about it, but if you're not going to sleep at night, you're going to beat yourself up constantly. You're going to hear a song on the radio, you're going to see a color, you're going to see something, you're
triggered
going to smell something.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. More than what somebody's told you. It's your internal fears.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the story about it that keeps magnifying it and making you a prisoner of that unfounded. Sometimes it's completely based on a false paradigm.
I met a girl who I used to play water polo with at high school. I met her probably about 4 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer actually, as I think I've been in this house for 2 years, maybe 5 years ago. And she said, oh, I've come back from overseas. Would you like to do coffee? Would you like to do a catch up? And I said, absolutely. And the very first thing is she apologized for being a horrible friend.
Oh.
And I had stolen her parents' car and drove it around the block, and she called my mother on me, and she apologized for that. And I went, yeah. I said, yeah, but I took thing. I didn't have a license. I took your parents' car. Yeah, it wasn't a flash car, but I took your parents' car and drove it around the block, and I parked it again. Like I did. And she was like, I'm so sorry I did that. I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine. I got a hiding verbally, the rest of it. But like I could see that. And she had carried that since we were 16 or so. Wow. And she says, I felt so bad. And it was literally the very first thing when I gave her a big hug, we sat down and it just came out and she just cried. And I was like, oh my God. And I went, oh, I remember that. I remembered it when she told me about it. I couldn't even remember it prior to that. Like I remember that. I was like, oh my God, I stole a car. Shoot, I stole a car. I didn't have a license. Like it sounds really bad. But we're talking about 30 odd years ago.
But isn't that fascinating about the different ways of interpreting the same situation?
And she said, I've been wanting to contact you for years, but couldn't.
Wow, because she's still frozen with guilt.
And so that was a fear. How's Deborah going to react? You know, because I shamed her, I got into trouble with her parents. That wasn't the worst thing I ever did.
So bad.
At that age, getting in trouble with that was just one thing on the list, but it wasn't even in the top 10. Just saying. You know, but this is definitely keeping her stagnant from that friendship. But she said, you know, she chooses her friends wisely, and she felt so bad about that. So it definitely left her a large impact for the next 30 odd years to, you know, who she has around her, and do I dob this person in? Do I not? You know, and she said, oh God, I could have had you arrested. You know, you could have been done for this, and I'm like, but you didn't. It didn't. Like it didn't happen.
Yeah. That's always been that woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah.
Yeah. She's held onto that story for so long.
Wow.
And that's the type of stuff we're talking about. These are fears, and this is keeping you stagnant from reaching out to a friend.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, I'm back in New Zealand. I need to repair that relationship with Deborah. I'm like, well, you didn't need to, but like when she messaged me, I was like, oh my God, yay, I'm catching up with her. I haven't seen her in years.
You had no idea of this story.
No.
Right.
No.
Because you even had to work on remembering the incident.
Well, I was like, I wonder why we're catching up. This is super cool. And then, and when she said it, I'm going, did I? And I'm like, yes, I remember it now.
Right.
But
so she's feeling like she had to make reparations.
And that's definitely stuff. So, you know, she wanted, well, my forgiveness. She, you know, she was seeking that to ease her heart.
Right.
All she had to do was reach out and just say, you know, this is what's happened.
Or just
you know,
even write to you. This? Just write to you. Yeah.
But she'd held on to that for such a long time. So that was absolutely a fear of me saying, she said, I was so relieved when you said you'd meet me.
Wow. So this is a really good point to really encourage any of our listeners that have anything comes up that gets triggered by this story. If there's something that you need to call or write to someone and do that, clear up.
Yeah.
Clear it up. Don't be sitting there stewing in your own thing, because that was a beautiful example there of two completely
black one white.
Totally.
Yeah.
And look at that how much she carried and stuckness she carried because of that.
I'm surprised she didn't give herself a stomach ulcer or anything.
Truly,
that because she's held that shame and guilt for
all this
34 years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, good for her for actually fixing it, but we don't need to carry those things for that long.
I know. And so that's absolutely a fear and keeping her stagnant.
Truly.
You know, and to think that she reached out to me and was really nervous, thinking I wouldn't meet her. Of course I'm going to meet her. It's an old school friend. How often do you ever catch up with them? And then you go, yeah, no, you're not going to be my friend. I remember you from school. Or not. But we did. I don't even know where she is now. Actually, she's in Canada, I think. I think she's teaching in Canada.
Oh, cool.
Funny that. Yeah. But you just think about that sort of stuff, is how different the world is, or our perception is. And so don't let it get to that stagnant point.
Yeah. And so if it starts to, and then like you were saying earlier, is to look at any space of that as that's the hallway between the old paradigm and the new one.
Yeah.
And you can keep moving, and it might be really imperceptible, small baby steps, but you're still moving. So watch and not feel like, oh my God, I can't reach out. I can't do that.
If you reach out with the intention of fixing it, if you reach out with those sort of things, but if you actually just reach out with I'm just going to get this off my chest, but I'm going to come from a humble place.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Then they're going to feel that. But if you reach out with the old, I'm right, you're wrong, you did this to me, da da da. Yeah,
don't do that. That's not going to do anything. just
to a number
create more
10
chaos.
And, go to a number 10 and sit in the corner, will you? Because that's absolutely, it's going to create absolute chaos, like you said, but if you reach out from the heart and just say, look, I'd love to talk about something that's happened,
something that's bothering me, or I want to check in with you.
You can do it via face or email, or there's just different ways of communicating that you can do, but the key is to reach from the heart, because as we all know, that's where you live.
That's right.
In that heart decision.
Yep.
I don't think I hold on to anything from that long ago.
Neither do I. Okay. I think that, and like you're saying, when you just shared that story, is like, oh my God, people really remember things that far away.
Yeah, it's funny because people say, how old was Sophie when she first started solids? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, what do you mean you don't know? That's my daughter, by the way. I'm like, it's got written in a baby book. Like, I don't remember that stuff.
Well, why would you?
I wouldn't, but if I was a preschool teacher, I would remember it, or if I was a midwife, I'd remember it, but not in my life. No, not in my consulting business. I'm going to have someone who's going to ask me about that. I know it. but those sort of things, because then that's not important for me to remember. It's in the book.
Well, it's because it's about having what are you filling your bandwidth with? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And
you're filling with deliciously motivated mindset.
Exactly. That's the top of the list for the bandwidth requirement.
I think absolutely. I think that's it. So are fears keeping you stagnant? I personally can't think of any fears that are keeping me stagnant. No. I do have a box that I unpacked as I look at it at the weekend or yesterday, and went, what's this box? And unpacked it, and now I have a shite load of books that I have to find places for and decide, am I going to keep them or not? Am I going to read them, or what am I going to do? So that's not a fear, but I've definitely got a bit of procrastinating going on there.
And a little bit of stagnant energy around on the floor.
Oh, God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, there's 11 per pile. I've got 4 piles. 4 piles times 11.
44.
No, that's not good. Yeah, that's 44. It. But
is
there any... Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say, for me, it's an invitation, and I'm encouraging people to take this on, is that if there is a fear, allow it to ignite some fire in your belly to do something. And any of these ideas that we're saying about texting, calling, setting up an appointment, doing something, but
close that chapter off. Yeah.
And so it's about reflecting. What do you want? What do you want to create, to experience, to be? Yeah.
It's all about healing our own soul.
Yep.
And internally dialoguing and looking at each other, I think.
And aligning with your truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about that before too.
Wow, today was a goodie.
It certainly was.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap this up for our fears keeping you stagnant?
Just that piece about using it. If you feel it coming up, utilize the energy to ignite a different response, so that you don't get stagnant.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm just going to say, let your shame and guilt go.
Yeah, that too.
Let your shame and guilt go. Reach out to Moira or Debz, and we can definitely help. But we've got quite a few podcasts there that you can jump in on and help you with some transitional mindset challenges. So in saying that, being a 10 to a 0, what was I? You were a 1. Were you a 1? No, you were a 0.
I was a 0, but then 2 on the topic.
Yeah. And I was a 1. Was I a 2 on the topic?
I think
as well?
You were a 2 on the topic too.
Yeah. So what would you be now?
0.
Yeah, 0. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a 0. I'm the same. I feel like we've served, we've delivered, we've give some insights, we've shared, and that even just reading Our Fears Keeping You Stagnant doesn't even look heavy.
It doesn't feel heavy at all anymore.
No.
Awesome.
So it's definitely a 0. So thank you, Moira, and thank you, listeners. Let us know what number you've jumped from to where you are now, and let us know if you've got any questions or any topics you'd like us to talk about, or just reach out, because we are both here evolving.
Absolutely. And being of service to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear Deb. Thanks,
Thank
listeners.
you.
Talk to you
Bye.
next time. Bye.